Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to be completing Module 3, Unit 2, Lesson 4, which is continuing analyzing characters. Today we're going to be using Act 2, Scene 1 of Divided Loyalties. All right, so today's learning targets are I can determine the gist and the meaning of unfamiliar words and phrases in Act 2, Scene 1 of Divided Loyalties, and I can describe a character using details from the text in Act 2, Scene 1 of Divided Loyalties. So, the first thing we're going to do today is we are going to read aloud and determine the gist for Act 2, Scene 1. Now, if you are watching this, it is because you did not come to class or you missed class for some reason, your internet was crazy, whatever. You are going to need to stop what you're doing right now, pause the video, and you're going to need to read Act 2, Scene 1, which is pages 25 through 29 of Divided Loyalties. Okay, so read that. When you're done, come back. All right, so we're going to read, we're going to discuss the gist of this section. And if you had any unfamiliar words, I encourage you to talk to those, talk to a parent or a grown up about those. Since you're not on our live meet. And then we're going to record the gist. So if you'll open your module workbook to page 57, we'll be able to record the gist now. Now, before we do that, just really quickly, I want you to think about why this is a new act rather than a new scene. So that's because it's a year later. This is a year has passed since we first met the Barton family. Okay, so now move to page 57 of your module workbook. When you open it up, it is going to look like this. Okay, all right, so we are going to record the gist here in this first box, and then we are going to record the characters and like we've been doing the past few lessons. Okay, so I'm going to pause, record it, and then it's going to pop back up on the screen and you're going to record your gist. Remember, the gist is what we read about. Okay, so here's the gist for Act 2, Scene 1. I wrote that over breakfast, the Bartons are discussing what's been happening now that the colonies have declared independence from Britain. And while Abigail and William think that the family needs to stay put in the colonies, and Robert and Mary really feel like, due to the damage done to their store and the violence going on in their town, it's time for them to move. Okay, so what you're going to do next is you are going to fill in this graphic organizer. So in class, we're going to fill in Abigail and Mary to, well, actually, let's look because I don't remember. I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. Let's see. We're going to do Abigail together in class, and then you are going to do Mary with a small group in breakouts. So you're going to have to do these. So you can do Abigail with me, and then you're going to have to do Mary by yourself. You're going to have to come back and make sure you got all the things that we put down for Mary afterward. Okay, so Abigail and Mary. All right, so I'm going to pause, fill it in, and you're going to go on and fill in Abigail. Okay, so for Abigail, we know that she doesn't want to move away from her home. She wants to help the Patriot cause because they're her neighbors and her friends. And she doesn't understand why their family is loyal to a country that is on the other side of the ocean. So, how do we know that? Well, Abigail says, "Why would we move? This is our home." And she asks, "Women are knitting socks and scarves for the Continental Army." Sorry, I made a mistake there. "How can we help?" She also asks, "Why are we loyal to a country that's so far away?" And she says, "Many of the patriots are our friends and neighbors." So now I want you to take a couple minutes and I want you to think about how Mary, the mom in the story, reacted to what was going on in Act 2, Scene 1. And I want you to fill that in, and then I want you to put proof from the text in this section right here. Okay, remember, you've got to have quotes from the text that prove what you said and how Mary feels. All right, so go on and do that, and we'll pause it and do that, and then come back and check with my work to make sure you've got everything when you're done. Okay, so for Mary, you should have the following. She doesn't want to move, but she thinks they should consider it. She's disappointed that Abigail questions their loyalty to Britain when they have family there and they are British subjects, and she believes in supporting the king. So here's some proof. Mary says, I don't want to move, but it may be wise to at least consider it. In response to Abigail's question about being loyal to Britain, Mary says, Abigail Barton, what are you thinking? Your grandparents live in London, not Boston. We are British subjects. She also says to William, I am standing up for what I believe in, William. Your father and I believe in supporting the king. Okay, so now that we've done that, I want you to look at this paragraph. This is a character analysis paragraph of William. Now, while we didn't fill in any information about William in the character analysis chart in your module workbook, I wrote a paragraph about him so that you could see an example character analysis paragraph. I know we've been doing this, but you got to make sure you have all the parts included. Okay, so notice this one in Act. I'm sorry, well, this is an old one. So anyway, just as an example, in Act 1, Scene 2 of Divided Loyalties by Gare Thompson, Mrs. Smith, the customer in the Barton store, decides to stop shopping there because of Robert's loyalist views and the impact they're having on the food he sells. William thinks that his father shouldn't sell tea and should only sell local produce. After Abigail suggests that Robert should stop selling tea and should only sell local produce, William says, I think Abigail is right. William also thinks Robert should join the Patriots, even if he doesn't agree with them. He tells Robert, I think you should consider taking a loyalty oath to the Patriot cause. Robert and William have very differing views of this situation. So while this is an old paragraph, I need you to look at the parts that it has, right? Okay, so in the beginning, it's got the act and scene, it's got our text. And this is since we typed it, this really should be in italics. Sorry, that was an error there. Okay, so there it is in italics. Now, it's got our title of our text and our author, and then it's got the gist. All right. After the gist, it tells what the character thinks or feels. And hang on, crazy children. Okay, sorry. While after what the character thinks and feels about what happened in the act and scene, we have proof from the text. Okay, and then it talks about how the characters' views are different in that act and scene. So that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be writing a paragraph on page 59 of your module workbook. You're going to have to upload a picture of it for this assignment when you get done, and we're going to share them out too. So be prepared. Now, you're going to write a paragraph about Abigail from Divided Loyalties, Act 2, Scene 1. Right? And you're going to use that note catcher and you're going to write that paragraph. Now, remember, you have to include all these things: the title, the author, the act and scene, the gist of the scene, how the character thinks and feels, and proof from the text to support it. Also, remember to compare how your character felt to the other characters. You're going to have 15, well, you're doing this later. So in class, I'm going to give you 15 minutes and we're going to share out. And you need to make sure that you upload a picture to the blank Google Doc assignment and you turn this in. That, my friends, is it for the day. Thank you very much.